We've been farming here at Borins for just short of 100 years. And some of the ground, you're the fifth generation on it, farming it.
Yeah.
It's evolved over that period, from the initial farm being just 100 acres and some off-lying land, to other land being put to it, and now there's 750 acres in a ring fence.
Total 900 in
total 900, yeah.
So you're now obviously farming Lleyn sheep. When was it that you got involved within the breed, and what was the initial attraction to encourage you to get into them?
In 2001, the foot and mouth we had a total slaughter. We weren't quite a closed flock, but we were nearly a closed flock.
Yeah, we had mules and
Swaledales, mules,
Welsh
Texels.
half-breds.
We used to buy a few Welsh half-breds as well.
We went to Lleyn's that year, didn't we?
Yes, we sourced them on the restocking, and have enjoyed them and were impressed how well they did.
And what attributes was it that the Lleyn had that attracted you to get involved with them in the first place?
Closed flock.
The closed flock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Health-wise.
Health-wise.
You could breed your own replacements. The tup side of things were really just breeding some of those just to...
Well, if we can breed a few tups to finance buying
another one,
to go and buy another one, it all helps.
Yeah.
It's
bit of fun, really, it was.
Yes.
You obviously had a primary goal or an aim when you got into the breeds. Has that goal changed over the years, or has it remained the same?
The primary goal of the flock at that time was to stock the farm.
Yeah, it was. But it is run as a commercial flock.
So ultimately, you're running a pedigree flock, but on a very commercial basis. Is that the reason that you got into them in the first place?
Yeah, you can run them on a commercial basis. Yeah, very easily.
Yeah, your tup lambs, your weather lambs, I'll grade equally as well as a first cross out of a half-bred ewe. Yeah. You know, a typical mule ewe with a Texel ram on it or a Suffolk ram on it, your Lleyn lamb will grade as well. Might just take a week or two longer to get to finish, but it'll grade just as well.
Predominantly our lambs they have been going dead weight, and they've been getting our grades very easily. Yeah. Even some ewes, yeah.
And there is a big misconception that Lleyn sheep are a lowland-based breed, and as you've seen today, or as you've proven, that's not the case at all.
Our farm, it is all green, but it is up, yeah.
And you're running them up to, what, 12,000?
1,200.
1,200 feet,
Yeah, we'll be all getting short of puff at 12,000. So yeah, the runner's commercial venture. We haven't seen any drop in lambing percentage at all. We're achieving a lambing percentage among the pure Lleyns at just over 200%.
But as we were discussing before, I think that's some down to the land being fed as well, and the pH has been looked at every year, and plenty of manure being spread as well.
Yeah.
And I think that has something to do with, in some parts of the country, the lambing percentages.
We set stock with sheep and cattle on the same ground, and I think that's something to do with it as well. And if there's too many sheep on a lump of ground and nothing else, land can go sheep sick. But yeah, we were very impressed with how they performed in the first year as yearlings, how easy they were to lamb and how well they mothered the lambs and milked them.
And then again, James, you were telling me earlier on that there's farmers that look to change their system, and when they're picking their breed that they want to go into, they have a real focus on the terminal sire aspect, because all they're thinking about is that end product, which is their prime lamb. But they do almost forget about the maternal aspect, and that is a key part in making sure that your system functions correctly.
Females, 50% of... It's no good just blaming the tup sometimes, you look at the female as well. Yeah.
And have you found that that's a major factor in how you get your final product in that prime lamb or breeding animal, is your female selection?
We tried to breed
something that we want, really.
Yes, and that's not necessarily a big ewe, but a strong ewe, a ewe with a bit of shoulder in it, a good loin in it and a bit of width through it.
So a good skin.
And one with a good tight skin. I'm not into open skin sheep.
But wool was put there for a reason.
Yes.
We went too bare once over, and it was the wrong thing to do.
As an awful lot of farmers have found out this year, on a bad year, if them little lambs have not enough wool on them, they can't stand it. It's as James says, wool was put on.
If you're lambing outside, you don't want too bare.
Talking about lambing, you were explaining earlier on that you were an outdoor-based lambing system, and that has obviously changed to an indoor lambing system. Has that got anything to do with the stock themselves?
No. The sheep can do it. It's relying too much on some of us to catch sheep outside, and if there was a problem and things like that, whereas a student or anyone can catch sheep in a pen, and it was just management side of things. They were wintered inside to take the sheep off the ground to give the land a rest.
Yeah.
For environmental reasons, we're in a national park here. They don't like us poaching ground and wrecking it, so we did it for other aspects of it.
There's more focus on efficiency and productivity in sheep flocks across the country, and having been in the breed for quite a long time, do you yourself see a change in perception towards the clean breed?
In certain areas, definitely there's been a switch, and we were only to look at the figures and the stats. 2 or 3 years ago, there were statistics read out that the clean or clean type sheep were the only ones that has expanded in the 20-year previous. And there's no doubt it's been the foundation for a lot of other breeds as the clean. But in certain areas there are other breeds that still very, very strong. And there are some men within those areas that are quite
traditional,
very traditional,
yeah.
and stick with those breeds. But I would say if you're not happy with the clean you've got, buy a better.
Looking towards the future, where do you see the sheep industry heading? And more specifically, where do you see the clean amongst all that, against all other maternal breed competitors that there are available to farmers to choose from?
I think there is an element of farmers, certainly arable farmers, that are looking to go into sheep for the well-being of their ground and grazing herbal lays. I think we have to have sheep that are going to be relatively easy to manage, because one of the biggest problems facing modern agriculture is labour.
Yeah.
And so that in itself, a sheep that can rear 2 lambs without a lot of artificial intervention is a lot better. Yeah,
I think they are actually quite naturally good with pests as well, worms, and I think there's been a lot of trials and things been done that way, and I think they don't seem like they have a lot of trouble with that either.
There's certainly a bit of natural worm resistance in there compared to some breeds, and we have noticed in the spring to some extent, I'm not going to say it's, but certainly among the more mature ewes, when we were lambing outside, I think we had neighbours that were losing a lot more lambs of ours to some foxes, etc.
They're very good mums and protecting them.
Very protective.
Foxes and things.
Certainly
like
the mature ewe.
And covering flock size and numbers, how many are you running in total here?
We're lambing about 1,400, retaining about approximately 400 to 500 gimmer lambs round for ourselves and to sell on as shearlings. Of which about 1,000 are pure cleans.
And that's privately as well as through society sales too. And then numbers wise, what about cross sheep?
Yeah, there's roughly between 300 and 400 cross sheep.
So is there a reason why you're running both pure and crossbred flocks?
We discuss that every year, don't we?
We do, we keep discussing it.
We do, yeah.
We do wonder sometimes because
cleans, but
it does get discussed. Hopefully, we can get these crossbred lambs
and
away.
Push the lambs on earlier, the crosses,
and so that frees a bit of ground up for the other lambs.
Bit of variety, eh?
In regards to deadweight prices and deadweight grades, do you see a big difference between your crossbred lambs and your purebred lambs, with carcass clearly being a contributing factor in how they're graded out?
I'm not sure the cross lambs pay any better than the pure lambs.
Would you say that's another attribute towards purebred clin lambs?
They grade really well. The pure clins grade very well. Mm-hmm. And especially if another commercial system, if you're putting a Texel tup or a continental tup like that onto a clin, they grade even better.